Christmas came early this year. It's our top 6 rest of season fantasy football league winners. That's right. So players we're targeting in trades ahead of week 11 that could save your season. All this and more. Let's fire it up. It's a brand new edition of the IBT podcast coming right at you.
I've been going dummy, out of bounds, putting on a clinic. Stick around, carrots in my hardware. KC, caught him in the crosshair. Look at me, been the guy calling Mr. MVP. Keep your ass on the bench by my MPC. Earn my stripes like I fix this league. Your dog's on the turf, my dog's in the street. You can find me somewhere in between. Never a dull moment like a movie scene. About to do the ops like I did this beat. Let them keep talking RG3. Coming to you live. This is the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast.
All right, and welcome into the In Between Fantasy Football Podcast, your place for both a refreshing and feel-good take on fantasy football and NFL gambling. It's mid-November, football weather. It's officially here with the first snowfall in Pennsylvania, greeting us even before Week 11 kicks off. We'll help you stay plenty of warm in this program as we give you our rest of season fantasy football league winners to trade for now, plus our best bets for the weekend. I'm your host, Seth Wilcock, and coming to you pre-recorded on YouTube this week instead of being live. Just got the Starlink in the mail today. So once I install that and we're back to sounding crispy, we'll be back live with you. Someone always sounding crispy, though, is a Southern gentleman that I'm sharing the mic with tonight. He's a big business, a light ranching son of a gun. He's Eric Romoff. Eric, how are you after a week away from the show?
It's good to be back in the saddle. It's crazy to think that we're heading into week number 11. We're kind of at the point where pretty much every team has a good sense of their viability, whether or not they're going to be a contender. Contending in the leagues that I care about the most is always a fun part of this year. But honestly, the teams that you really have to like scratch and claw to make your way into the playoffs are maybe some of the funnest sweats in all of fantasy football. So love this time of year. Stoked to be back with the IBT fam tonight.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Eric. I'm at the point in my seasons where I don't know if I've ever had a year like this where I'm like top 3, top 4 in points forced, but I'm on the outside looking in a lot of playoffs right now. I just can't get wins, just some really bad beats in all the leagues I really care about. So definitely an uphill climb, but excited to see what you have to offer me today for some trade targets and some potential league winners for down the stretch. Also joining us is a man who always enjoys hammering the over, whether that's on NFL totals or Rotten Tomato scores. He's Boston's boy, Steve Lawson. Steven, how are things up there by the bay for you, man?
Oh, man, chilly. We got our first snow flurry of the season today, so it was an interesting day for sure. I am feeling great, though. I eked out a win in the league that I care about the most. Thank you, Jalen Hurts, for putting up absolutely nothing on Monday Night Football. That was a real tight. I was up by 17 going into the game. Unfortunately, Garrett Wilson let me down, getting hurt, exiting early. My team has been snake bit this year with injuries. It's just one after the other after the other. And as you guys know, I love Garrett Wilson. I have him in a lot of places, and that is really, really hurting right now.
Yeah, welcome to the club, man. My home league, a record league. I mean, I'm pretty much like out of it for the first time I can say ever. I mean, I'm still in the playoff mix.
Completely out of it? There's no way.
I had a chance to get to 5-5. I was playing the worst team in the league, and everyone pretty much didn't come through for me. And so I'm 4-6 right now. I still got a shot at things, but I mean, it's tough. I lost Cam Scatterboo. I lost Mike Evans. I lost Travis Hunter 3 straight weeks. So not looking great right now. But hey, we're gonna keep swinging and then keep taking shots, working the waiver wire, working the trade markets, because that's what we do here at IBT. And behind the scenes is someone who is everyone's favorite Yinzer. He's a ginger, and he's also a former IUP Crimson Hawk baby. He's producer Kyle Scott. Jim, how are you? And will you be stopping out there on the North Shore on Saturday? We got the first college game day in Pittsburgh in the last 20 years.
Oh, I will be making a stop out to the North Shore, maybe for football, maybe for just some entertainment otherwise. But it's always a good time out there in Pittsburgh. I'm settling into my new spot out here in the city. So we're having a good time. It's going to be a great weekend, and it's always a good day with the boys on the IBT podcast.
Absolutely is, brother. So we appreciate you. Also, wanted to say happy Veterans Day to everyone who served or continues to serve. The most selfless thing you can do in my book is serve this country. And we are so blessed that you do it to make this land free so we can do things like play fantasy football, bet on ball as well. So thank you to everyone, all our friends out there, family members. My brother Dakota is in the military, our IBT own Rod Villa Gomez as well. Thank you for your service, Rod. And so just appreciate everyone out there who helps keep this nation and the world at large safe. And as always, before we get into the program, shout out to everyone who's riding with us, either on the In Between Media YouTube channel or the audio feed. Thank you for all the support this season. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy this type of content. And make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new. And if you want a little more of us, consider checking out the IBT Football Family. That's our premium community where you get access to our full betting cards, the Discord chat with myself, Steve, Rod, Elliot, Eric, Kyle, everyone here at IBT. You're also going to get access to our memorabilia giveaways and entry into the touchdown contest. All just $3.99 per month or $36 for the year. You're also going to get access to the NASCAR family, the betting model over there if you want to cash in on some racing. We'll also have some more sports and leagues coming your way in the new year. And before we jump in, shout out to this episode's presenting sponsor, PropDecks, a platform reimagining fantasy sports with prop-based lineups. That's right, just set your lineups by choosing players from a live pool. No drafts, no season-long commitments either, baby. Next, pick your props ranging from safe to bold by selecting presets and customizing your picks for maximum points and control. The harder the prop, the more fantasy points you can earn. Then, let your players do all the work. Sit back and watch those totals climb. You can join for free in the free-to-play Enter PropDecks tournaments to win gift cards to major apparel brands, custom merch, and more, or jump into community-hosted games with friends, private groups, and other players. Stack your props, score big, and own Sundays now by downloading the PropDecks app today from the iOS App Store. The link is in the episode description with everything else we have going on here at IBT, folks. So, guys, with all that being said, are you ready to jump into some front and center and get to a little league winners action?
Absolutely.
Let's fire it up.
Sometimes taking that first step out the door is the hardest thing to do. Give it a chance, you'll be begging for more. Save the spot just for you. We're all somewhere in between. How about you come to the place try to have some fun? Ain't gotta worry about knowing not what it means. Come and give me another, cause the night is young. At least I so thought.
This just in. Breaking news. Front and center.
It's front and center. It's our rest of season league winners that we're trading for before week 11 of the NFL season kicks off. And just to kind of give you a little taste of what we did last year's calls, I had Ladd McConkey and Cedric Tillman. Ladd was great down the stretch, not so much for Cedric Tillman. Chase Brown and Trey McBride for you, Eric. And I know those carried a lot of listeners to some fantasy championships, so good on you there. Keon Coleman and Tyrone Tracy. Tracy was really good. Injury kind of got him down towards the end of the season. And then Keon Coleman, a little hit or miss. But we're going to try to do even better this season. We each have 2 league winners for you to go out there and acquire on the trade market this week. And Eric Romoff, I'm coming to you first. Who are you trying to acquire this week, whether it's on the low, on the high, whatever you have in between, man?
Yeah, I think this one would categorize as being on the high. It is none other than my guy, Devon Achane, coming off of an explosive week against the Buffalo Bills, where really he put on display everything that we were hopeful for him and knew that he was capable of en route to a 40 fantasy point performance. Really, the thing that is got me buying Devon Achane is the fact that we are past the trade deadline, and we have reason to believe that Mike McDaniel is going to retain his job for the remainder of the season, right? This is a player that is tailor-made for this McDaniel scheme and can absolutely make the most of his opportunities in this offense, an offense that seems to be coming to life a little bit and is very much so playing on the opposite side of the ball from a defense that is going to allow other teams to be scoring at will. So Devon Achane, one of the top runners in the league in terms of explosive rate, in terms of yards per carry, north of 5.5 at that point, getting over a fantasy point per touch. Obviously, his skill set is one that is really game script proof, right? He is a prolific pass catcher as well. So, I mean, it feels to me like we are talking about a guy that is essentially Alvin Kamara reincarnate, and at least maybe because he's playing for a woeful Dolphins team, isn't exactly getting his just due. So you might be able to get a little bit of a discount on him. Even if not, I'm happy to pay full freight and to ride Devon Achane to a championship this year.
I mean, are we talking like top 5 rest of season running back for Achane here, Steve? Because you look at everything. You look at the snap share, 4th among running backs. You look at waiting opportunities, number 2 among running backs. Targets, 2nd among running backs. Receptions, 2nd. Receiving yards, 3rd. Like the things that we care, even 4th in rushing yards too. So it's like the things we care about for fantasy running backs, Achane's doing it. And you got a hell of a discount early on in the year with just the fact that, hey, everyone's kind of worried about that calf injury coming into the season.
No, at this point, Devon Achane definitely has claim to, definitely not the best because Jonathan Taylor is currently the king of running backs, but the second best running back in all of football at this point. He is that good. He is that explosive, that dynamic. To Eric's point, though, I do want to say, I think one thing that's going to help Devon Achane and his value a bit is that defense, for some strange reason, doesn't look quite so awful the last few weeks.
Good point.
Really, it seems to have something's going on. McDaniel seems to be figuring something out with this team. Maybe it is that he's dropped the like, oh, it's all fine, everything's fine, and is like, I'll hold your feet to the fire and like call you out if need be. Like this Mr. Nice Guy act is kind of over at this point. But they want to control the ball, and Achane's the guy that's going to do that for them. Like you're going to see Ollie Gordon get his touches, or the occasional what's his face, Jalen Wright get his touches. But Devon Achane, it's the thing with him is he's a touch away from giving you a monster fantasy day, and it's always like it could happen at any time. He gets one step and it's over. So I am super high on Devon Achane.
Yeah, I just wish I had more exposure. I am in a couple dynasty leagues, but not really a lot of redraft investments in Achane. So I'm there with you. I mean, what are we talking? We have to probably give up for him, Eric. Like, I mean, you're probably giving you got to be giving probably a couple top 36 players to get up there.
Oh yeah, it would be an absurd amount, right? To Steve's point,
especially coming off a 40 burger.
Yeah, I mean, I've got him as my running back 2 rest of season, right? So in the event that you're rostering guys that are, running back 3 through 6, 7, 8, something like that, I think it's fair to, to loft him out there one-on-one, and you might be able to pull that deal off. Again, people are just kind of bearish on the Dolphins overall. If not, I think it's, probably a fringy running back 2 and another starter at a position, a tight end, a wide receiver, a quarterback, something along those lines should get that deal done.
Achane over Bijan for both of you guys rest of season?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and I will get to my first league winning call. And I'm saying at the running back position, it's not as sexy, I don't think, as Devon Achane here, but it is Rachaad White of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And per Todd Bowles, as of yesterday, Bucky Irving remains without a timeline to return. And even if he does come back, there's no guarantee he's going to take on a workhorse role again. And the Buccaneers, they have Lombardi aspirations. So I think they want to get Bucky back in the fold in some way, but it could be a situation like Pacheco last year where he never just gets back to 100%. And in the 5 games since Bucky went down, Rachaad White is averaging 74.8% of snaps, 16.8 touches, 4 of those being targets, and 13.5 fantasy points per game. His receiving metrics, that's really what I want to talk about here, because if I'm going out there and giving up something to get Rachaad White in trades, I have to make the case that I'm not that worried about Sean Tucker taking carries away from him. And it's because of his work in the receiving game. 14th in routes run this year, 129, 15th in targets, 29 of them, 9th in receptions with 26, 4th in catch rate as well. No Mike Evans rest of the season, no Chris Godwin for some time. And it's also still a December timeline if we ever get Jalen McMillan back, the explosive rookie from a year ago. It really only leaves Rachaad White, Emeka Egbuka, Tez Johnson, who I also think could really be a rest of season league winner, and Cade Otton as the weapons in Tampa Bay. The schedule, though, that is what is shaking up so good here for Rachaad White. Buffalo next week, that's a plus matchup. Then we have the Rams, the Cardinals, not the two best matchups, but then we have the Saints, the Falcons, Carolina, and Miami, all 4 plus matchups to end the fantasy football season. So it might not be 2023 where it was the RB4 on the season, but Rachaad White, to me, I think he has upside to be a high-end RB2 and maybe even low-end RB1 for the rest of the way. So I'm in on Rachaad White. Steve, any interest in you on our guy RW?
A little, not a ton. 13.5 fantasy points per game doesn't excite me when he's essentially the bell cow. So,
but it could get way better though. That's the thing, because we're seeing that schedule.
It could if Bucky Irving doesn't come back. If Bucky Irving does come back, then I expect it to get worse. And Sean Tucker, not for nothing, doesn't look bad. So I don't know if he's going to be able to hold a huge amount of value. I think he could be good. Rest of season, it could get a little bit better. I don't hate it. I don't know. I don't know what it is about Rachaad White that it all seems to be there. And then when he goes to put it all together, it never happens. He's just a bad rusher. Which is really a problem. Like, he's just not good between the tackles. And he has like all the skill in the world and no vision. And that's a huge problem for me.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And it's kind of like similar, honestly, to a couple weeks ago, Eric, when I shout out Rico Dowdle. We had Chuba Hubbard come back. And I was like, look, I'm taking the shot on Rico because I think now the value's down a little bit. And I think after we saw Sean Tucker get more opportunities last year, and he's actually pretty high up in projections this week. I saw ESPN even have him projected for double-digit fantasy points. And Tucker, I think this is the time to maybe strike with Rachaad White. Maybe that recent report about Bucky makes the White manager hold on to him, but maybe not. And there's someone a lot like Steve maybe who's like, hey, Bucky could come back.
Someone a lot like Steve is me right here. I am worried about the return of Bucky Irving and what it means for Rachaad White.
Doesn't have a timeline return, though. What if he never comes back?
Sure. There are plenty of what if scenarios. I would tend to believe that he will return. If you are convinced otherwise, then this is very much so a player to go out and target. I'm also in lockstep with Steve that as a pure ball carrier, Sean Tucker has looked more impressive than Rachaad White. Where I buy into your argument is I think that the price will be right for Rachaad White. I don't know if I would go quite as far as to say he has league-winning characteristics, but I do think off of, roughly 9 points per game over his last 3, with the news of Bucky Irving being a bit murky, I think you can get him for less than what you would expect, or at least what you would project for him to produce down the stretch run. So I think he represents a good value. I wouldn't feel very good with him in my roster just because I've been bit by this snake before.
Mm-hmm.
But really what you're doing is you're projecting forward game scripts where the Buccaneers are throwing a lot, right? If they find themselves in high scoring affairs, if they find themselves trailing down the stretch run, then I think this move can pay off in spades. Even if they're not, the floor isn't 0, right? You can kind of get flex level contribution from White in the worst case scenario. So I think it's a perfectly fine buy. I just don't know if I would give it the full league winning stamp of approval where we sit right now.
Okay, let's go to Steve and your first league winning candidate for the rest of the way. And it's also at the RB position.
Yeah, weirdly enough, both my picks are going to be guys that we shouted out in a different segment in our in the scope targets. So the first one, our guy Eric, I was going to give you the shout out. I was getting there. Woody Marks down there in your home state of Texas and your hometown of Houston, and he did it finally, right? Like, we saw him take the starting role from Nick Chubb. It was kind of an official moment of the passing of the torch where D'Amico Ryans has determined that Woody Marks is the guy who should touch the ball in high leverage situations. Nick Chubb touched it 6 times, I believe, to Woody Marks' 16.
Just 10 snaps for Chubb too. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't. And at this point, that's what should be going forward. They think they have a guy in Marks who could be their next starting running back, because I don't expect Joe Mixon to be on the team next season. I expect he will be a cut candidate because of the injury and then his contract. They want Marks to take the reins. So he looked good too. Like, yes, the run blocking for Houston is suspect at times,
Oh,
but
yeah.
his pass catching ability, his explosiveness in the secondary is very good. His balance is incredible. It's very impressive to watch him run. And he seems bigger than I think he is, which is really nice. He's able to take on a physical workload, run similarly to Chubb, but with a little bit more electricity behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's going to make him really kind of a league winner, because you can get him fairly cheap right now. And that's what I was aiming for. When I say league winner, listen, I could go try to trade for Devon Achane. You're probably going to have to spend a lot to go
Shots
get him,
fired.
right? No, but like it's a good league winner. Like, yes, if you have Devon Achane, or if you can acquire Devon Achane, if he's on a team like that's desperate to get into the playoffs, yeah, you go get him, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he's on the first place team, thoughts and prayers. I don't have anything for you. But Woody Marks, you could probably get him for pretty cheap right now. Owners probably want to sell him, quote unquote, high after his good game. I would say go get Woody Marks now before his value continues to become more expensive.
Yeah. Erica, I think you're kind of right here in lockstep with Steve. You have been really since the beginning when we did shout him out in the scope, which is our waivers a week early segment. So if people were listening to this program from the beginning of the season, you were on Woody Marks at no cost, no fab, no anything. But if you aren't so lucky, Eric, I'm just going to throw out a couple names. Let me know, but you as well, Steve, Woody Marks or this player, if that works.
Hit it.
Play him on me.
Alvin Kamara.
Marks.
Okay. RJ Harvey.
Marks.
With the news, keep in mind J.K. Dobbins likely at least a candidate for IR.
Oh, yeah,
Harvey.
That's true. Yeah, probably Harvey right now. I don't know. Push.
Monty.
Marks.
Okay. Kenneth Walker.
Marks.
Yeah, Marks.
Travis Etienne.
ETN.
Okay. All right. So you guys pretty much have him right there, like as a low end RB2 rest of the way. That checks out.
Yeah.
So
my concern with Marks, after having been one of the more vocal advocates for him when he was free, we've seen him do this once where he blew up in a game script where they were trailing and then go right back to the wrong side of the split in games where they were leading or competitive. So as much as I want this to be the reality, I'm afraid of being hurt again. I just don't know if I can open myself up. So
okay.
A word of caution for those that are feeling bullish like I am.
Well, I will say they were trailing in this game, but they came back and won, and Marks was on the field for those game-winning plays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair. Eric, who do you want to open your heart to specifically at the quarterback position?
Yeah, opening up my heart and letting in Caleb Williams, the QB 8 on the season so far. Look, I had my open questions about what this offense would be with Ben Johnson coming in as the head coach and Caleb Williams' ability to execute it. And while it certainly hasn't been without its bumps along the way, you sit here 10 weeks into the season and you look at far more weeks than not where you are happy that you decided to play Caleb Williams. Last week in particular, coming off of a 25-point effort the week before, nearly 40 fantasy points in that shootout against Cincinnati. The thing that really makes me most bullish about Caleb Williams, we expected his arrow to be pointing up from a pure passing perspective, and it has, right? His yards per attempt has gone up a full yard. He's pacing to set, granted, a new career high in passing yardage, should be flirting with 4,000 yards this year. His touchdown rate is going up, right? So all the things that you would expect as a passer are there, but all of a sudden Caleb Williams is out here running the ball a little bit, sitting here with 250 yards and 3 rushing scores through 9 games this season. For me, that's really kind of the line of demarcation for the quarterbacks that I'm interested in starting and the quarterbacks that I am not. And I don't think broadly the fantasy market views Caleb Williams as an effective rusher, at least to the extent that he's shown to be through 9 games. So he's someone that you might be able to go out there and get even as a toss-in on a larger deal. And he's someone that I would feel comfortable firing up down the stretch run, especially with a schedule that should call for the Bears to do a lot of scoring down into the playoffs.
Yeah, to those rushing metrics, to your point as well, like Right now, Caleb Williams, 2.5 scrambles per game. That's the 9th most at the quarterback position. And when we get inside the 20 red zone carries per game, he's 4th among quarterbacks at 1.75. So yeah, he's like boot scooting and boogieing still quite a bit. The one thing like I think that comes with that in the scramble, like he is like first in the NFL for holding on to the ball for time to throw, right? He's like outside of 3 seconds. And sometimes that leads to taking sacks and, can stall drives and be frustrating for a fantasy manager. But at the same time too, like money throws right now, top 5 in the NFL. You're looking at air yards, top 10 in the NFL. So Caleb Williams has been fine. I'm fine with this call, and I really appreciate it. And Steve, let's get to your final league winner for the rest of the season. And it's actually a player that we talked about earlier in the season as well on one of those In the Scope segments.
Yeah, it might have been the same episode where Eric shouted out Woody Marks. So
yeah,
it's Alec Pierce, wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts. Weirdly has become the wide receiver 2 for this team. It seems he's bumped Josh Downs out of his role. I mentioned this before that he is a more athletic version of Michael Pittman, and I stood by that because for a long time he was only used as a deep threat. He was only allowed to stretch the field, and he still does a lot of that, don't get me wrong, but he's able now to use the intermediate in the short passing game a little bit more, and we've watched his target share go up over the last few weeks, and he's still scoring those long touchdowns. So now he's giving you those boom plays with that safer floor. This could be a breakout season, which is so unusual for someone who's been in the league as long as Alec Pierce has, but it seems to be he's breaking out in a different offense with a more competent signal caller. I don't want to say Daniel. I don't want to put too much on Daniel
NFL
Jones.
in passing yards right now. He has been confident.
I know. And like, yeah, I guess it's scary to say with Daniel Jones because he's such a mess usually. And he has regressed to some degree, but Alec Pierce seems to be coming onto the scene pretty strong. I think at this point, he is a pretty stable flex play going forward that you're probably buying for next to nothing. This will feel like a depth swap, and in reality, you're getting a starter.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I will say last week I tried to acquire Alec Pierce in a package deal. And the manager would not give him up. So some people are on to him, especially after going over 14.5 PPR points in 3 out of the last 4 games, a low being 8.9 in that span. So he has been good. And you look at the season as a whole, man, like 5 of his 8 total games right now have been in double-digit fantasy points. He's on a bye this week, though, Steve. So this is probably the time to go get him from someone who's a bit desperate and needs to move off him potentially to get a piece in their lineup. So I like that call a lot from you on Alec Pierce. I think I'm right there with you. And Eric, I don't think you've really changed your tune at all, specifically since shouting him out in our sleeper episode.
Yeah, that was, I guess, kind of the early indication of things that could be coming for Alec Pierce, and we've seen it come to pass, right? His route tree has expanded significantly, which we love to see, and the point to underscore is exactly what Steve said. He's still very much so getting those downfield opportunities, right? He's number 6 in the league in deep targets. He's number 2 in the league in average depth of target at over 20 yards down the field, right? But the thing that's different from years past, it was about 55% of his targets in 2024 and prior to that point were of the deep variety. This year, it's just 25%, right? So you're still getting those spike week upsides with those deep downfield targets, but he has that steadier floor that makes him a viable option, right? You don't have to worry about catching a donut while he's out there running 9 routes all day.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead. I have one final league winning candidate for you for the rest of the season. And it's my boy, Tetairoa McMillan. This is very similar to my call on Ladd McConkey in this episode last season because I'm targeting a rookie midway through the fantasy football season, banking on a second half breakout. And I just made a deal last week in my league of record to go get Tetairoa McMillan on, I don't want to call it the low because I definitely paid a decent price for him, but I'm confident in him. So I gave up Zay Flowers, I got Tetairoa McMillan, and I also got Jordan Mason just because I need a running back. That's the same.
You got Tet plus?
Yeah, I got Tet plus
for Zay Flowers.
So yeah, I'll take it. I mean, Mason
Seth
did do
is
it.
in these sneaky Zay Flowers Stan leagues. I didn't realize they
I am
exist,
that
but
one of the-
everyone who loves Zay
Well,
Flowers
everyone thinks they're
Seth.
robbing Seth blind because he keeps calling him Zay Jones.
Yeah, right. How about? I mean, I think I would rather have Zay over Tetairoa in a vacuum rest of the season, but I still think I really like it. I think there's more upside with Tetairoa. And specifically, like I watched him very closely after making that trade in the Saints game. And this guy, like, not only is the separation years but beyond what he's had in the NFL, but also like very good after the catch ability when he can get in space. They don't always get him in space, but when they do, this guy can run after the catch. Like he can burn people, man. He can take off. And JJ Zacharyson pointed out in this week's data dump that Tet's target share over the last 3 weeks, 43.5%, 31.6%, and 34.8%. So that's a pretty nice bump from his 26.8% target share we saw earlier in the season. And also, he's 10th in 10-plus yard receptions. And because the balls he's catching are usually a country mile because they don't really use him a ton underneath right now. He's 9th in air yard share, 15th in first read targets as well with 6.1 per game, 10th in deep target share. And even though he's only caught 2 touchdowns, he's seeing a lot of work in the red zone. He's 8th in red zone targets right now as well. So I like that he's on pace at your floor of 78 receptions, 50 receiving yards on the year, 4 touchdowns, low-end wide receiver 2 numbers right there. So I think like that's the floor, right? He's a low-end wide receiver 2 rest season. But I think there's also a chance that he can really jump up here. He can take advantage of 4+ matchups in his next 6 regular season games. He does have a bye week, keep that in mind. But that's also coming against teams like the 49ers, the Rams, Tampa Bay, and Carolina's defense has started to regress. So I think they're going to have to throw more. And I know there's a whole indictment on Bryce Young. You talked about it last week, Steven. But Bryce Young got a lot better in the back half of the season a year ago. So maybe we can get the same kind of results that lift Tet up to those high-end wide receiver 2 numbers that we're looking for. So with that, he becomes a league winner and a steady wide receiver 2, if not. So I'll take that chance. What about you, Steven?
I love Tetairoa McMillan. I was big on him coming into the season. I was big on him, though, with the caveat that Bryce Young would show any indication of growth. Anything. And I prayed to the gods above that he would be competent enough to be able to make Tetairoa McMillan look like the guy he is. He can't. And there's actually an entire article I just saw posted somewhere. I can't remember. It was on Twitter. I just don't know who wrote it. About the historically low 20+ yard attempts from Bryce Young right now. I mean, he is looking like 1950 style quarterbacks. He's not pushing the ball.
But when he goes deep, it's a Tet almost every time though.
Right, but he's doing it like once a game. It's like it's so annoying. It's so annoying to watch this guy play. He's so inaccurate and he's so afraid in the pocket and he's not able to extend the play really at all. He's not very mobile and that was something that he was touted as being coming out, but he's just not, and he's too small.
We saw it at the end of last year. He started to run a little bit.
I know we did, but he was playing against like the 3 worst defenses like in the league by far, and they had nothing to play for, and the Panthers had nothing to play for, and he was slinging the ball all over the place because he didn't care. He was getting cut probably anyway, and then he didn't, and now he's here, and the only reason he is starting right now is because Andy Dalton broke his thumb, and I don't know when Dalton's coming back. I think that's your saving grace. If Andy Dalton can come back and start, I think that's where Tetairoa McMillan looks better. I think this is just a year to. I'd probably, if you're getting Tet, like I don't know, maybe go trade him. I would probably say sell Tet McMillan at this point.
Eric?
I'm closer to buying than I am to selling. It has been pretty rough over these last handful of weeks for Bryce Young. I believe the research in question that Steve was referring to was our friend Josh Norris at Josh Norris on Twitter. 18, or rather weeks 8 through 18 last year on 20+ yard throws. Bryce Young was 6th in attempt percentage, 2nd in adjusted completion percentage, 2nd in big time throw rate, only behind Justin Herbert in that regard. And now through 10 weeks, they're essentially just not pushing the ball down the field, right? And I would have to imagine that if fantasy football analysts are coming to this conclusion, so are the Panthers coaching staff. They know that if they want to stay competitive in what should be a pretty high octane end to the schedule for them, they are going to have to push the ball down the field. And that, to your point, means a lot more work for Tetairoa and McMillan. I don't think that we will see Bryce Young hit the same heights that he did to finish the season last year. But if he is even just league average in that regard, all of a sudden you are on the right side of your deal for Tet for swapping him out for Zay Flowers. And I think the touchdown regression is really the point to underscore here, right? 10 red zone targets. He's caught 6 of them. To catch 6 targets in the red zone and only convert that for 2 touchdowns is insane. He's also got 8 end zone targets, right? Where he is actually in the end zone when the ball is arriving at him. So very much so the touchdown upside should realize, and that will bring a fair amount of actual upside to those managers that are willing to stick it out with Tetairoa.
Yeah, let's roll. Let's hope for the second half breakout. Maybe Steve's right, and maybe it just doesn't come because Bryce Young holds him down. But I'm going to bank that Bryce gets a little bit better and Tetairoa can get some of this positive regression coming his way. So, guys, love the analysis there on the rest of season league winners. Let's, though, shift into the betting markets with Between Bets coming your way.
Between bets. Between bets.
It's Between Bets. It's our NFL Week 11 betting cards. We're going to give you our favorite bets for the ATS, money line, totals, player props, and, of course, anytime touchdown markets. And I want to start out by looking how we all did in Week 10 for myself. One of my worst weeks in the last month or so. Started seeing the field pretty well, but just 1 for 5 on my player props. I did hit my bet of the week, my 3-unit play on Dalton Schultz, though, so that was great. 1 for 2 on the game picks. We did get a plus money. Philadelphia Eagles on the money line call over the Green Bay Packers on Monday night. 1 for 2 on the TD calls as well. Steve, what about you? How was your betting card last week?
Yeah, I was pretty hot last week. I went 3 for 5 on the over-unders. Missed a few unders by not much. And then hit a 5-leg parlay.
Okay.
Which was nice. A single game parlay in the Buccaneers Patriots game.
Okay. Like to hear that. What about you, Eric? How did it go for you?
Actually took a week off of those betting streets while I was traveling abroad. Instead leaned into DFS in some locales where that was my option, and had a pretty solid week as well. I do well on slates and showdowns that get kind of gross. All of these 10-7 games play well for me in the DFS world.
Where are you traveling?
I was across the country. I went over to Southern California, and then midway through the week hopped back over to DC. So I was up in the air for a lot of last week.
Wow. Didn't even know. Didn't even tell me. Oh, bummer.
Yeah, man. Now you know.
Now I know. Now I know you weren't just playing hooky on the show last week. So good to hear that. Let's jump right into things. And I got my first bet of the week, and it starts with the Baltimore Ravens. I'm taking the alt spread here, -6.5, -150 over at DraftKings versus the Browns. The Ravens, they have taken care of business since Lamar Jackson has been back in action. 3-0 straight up, 3-0 against the spread against Minnesota, Miami, and Chicago, beating those opponents by an average of 14.7 points, and the spread as well by 9.3 points. So the books can't get them right, it seems, right now. And in games where Lamar has played full games, the Ravens are averaging 32.6 points per game. They're 4-2 straight up, 5-1 though ATS. That's the golden number right there. The Browns only averaging 265 yards per game right now, the second fewest in the NFL. They're also 20th in rush yards, 28th in pass yards, and are actually 29th in scoring as well, at just 16.2 points per game. So the Ravens defense has gotten a lot better over the past month, but this team is still holding teams under 20 points scored on them in that span. So I really like what they've been putting together right here. And I just don't think Cleveland has the horses to keep up with the Ravens in this one. I don't think they'll have much success throwing the ball specifically. So give me the Baltimore Ravens under a touchdown there, -6.5. And Eric, I'll throw it over to you for your 2 ATS plays as well.
Yeah, definitely like that play as well. Would probably squad ride with you. I will stick with the AFC North for my first pick. The Cincinnati Bengals are getting 5.5 points at the Pittsburgh Steelers. This seems like an absolute misprice. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the line move down to 4.5 or potentially even 3.5. So get those tickets in now while you can get it at -110 over at Hard Rock Bet. A lot of this just has to do with the reality of the Joe Flacco-led Cincinnati Bengals, right? Apart from that first game against the Packers, where he had 2.5 days of preparation, the Bengals are either winning or losing by a hair's breadth. Every single one of them is coming down to the wire, usually a last-second score or a last-second touchdown on either side of the equation for the Bengals. And I think them getting 5.5 points is simply too big a number against a Steelers team that, I mean, I don't see how they can be competitive, right? Obviously, they forced a bunch of turnovers against the Colts and won a showcase game a few weeks ago. But really, this is a one-dimensional offense that anyone should be able to scheme for. And I think that we're going to be looking at 2 defenses that are allowing points to be scored in bunches this week. So give me 5.5 points with the Bengals on the road in Pittsburgh.
Okay, and then you also have another one here going up to Orchard Park.
Yeah, up to Orchard Park, different teams, but similar scenario. The Buffalo Bills are hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are also getting 5.5 points on the road. And much like with the Cincinnati Bengals, the number is simply too high, right? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been scoring in bunches. The Buffalo Bills have been having a hard time competing in many cases, losing games. So to see this sitting at 5.5 points is simply too big a number, right? We're looking at another week with Baker Mayfield and Emeka Egbuka 1 week further removed from that injury. I think they are settling into the reality of what this offense looks like with him as their wide receiver 1. And the Buffalo Bills are allowing far inferior offenses to score pretty much at will. So I think this will be a competitive game. It might be one of the games of the week, but I certainly don't think it's going to be a blowout. And that is what this 5.5 point spread seems to be indicating.
Okay, I'm going to head over to the AFC in an all AFC showdown with the Los Angeles Chargers laying just 2.5 right now, -120 at FanDuel against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I usually don't love laying points with a West Coast team coming out east for a 1 p.m. kickoff, but the Chargers have covered this number in their last 2 early kickoff road spots and in 3 straight games in general, all favored in those matchups. Meanwhile, the Jags right now, they have lost 3 of their last 4 games straight up and ATS. And the only game they did win was that overtime win against the Raiders, where Las Vegas went for 2 at the end to try to win it. So there are a few things in particular I do like about this matchup as well. The Chargers are most effective through the air right now without Omarion Hampton. 3rd in passing yards this season. The Jaguars have a bottom 8 defense against the pass in yards, 4th in passing touchdowns allowed as well. The Jags also are tied for the fewest sacks in the NFL, 12 at 1.3 per game. So I think that liability at tackle right now becomes a little bit less of a liability without the Jaguars being able to get after the quarterback. The Chargers have a very average rushing defense and are above average against the pass. So I just don't think T-Law is going to be able to exploit that without really a positive matchup and him still getting used to this new receiving core. We just got word it is going to be Travis Hunter out for the season. So bummer there. No status update as of now on BTJ as well. So I think he won't have enough to get over Jay Herbo and company in this one. So I love 2.5 before it gets up above that key number to 3 or 3.5. Steve, I'm going to send it over to you to crack open the total picks as well, my friend.
Yeah, I got a bunch of them. I can walk you through them if you want.
Please do.
All of them. Yeah, you got it. All right, let's start out with my hometown New England Patriots taking on the New York Jets. I'm going to go over 43.5. Both of these teams are hitting the overs over 60% of the time. So at this point, it's better than a coin toss chance that these teams score more than these points. Listen, I can't believe I'm saying it. and
Right.
I live here. The New England Patriots offense is electric. It's unreal. I mean, they're scoring points like crazy. The Jets, I don't know who's going to start. I'd imagine it's probably going to be Tyrod Taylor next, although Justin Fields, like, they won.
Probably
So I don't
better if
know.
it is Tyrod, honestly.
Like, I don't really know. It's not going to get better. This is not a quarterback issue in New York. It's a play calling issue. It's abysmal. But really, I would expect the Patriots, because the Jets traded away their two best defensive players, to put up 30 points on their own. So I'm looking for 14 out of the Jets, and I can count on that. I think. So I'm not going to sit here and say, like, I am bullish on the Jets, which I was early in the season, and I will own that loss. I am bullish on the fact that the Patriots might just bully them. They might get there on their own. I don't know. Like, they may just come out and stomp them into dust just to be like, see what we can do. Look who we are. And we don't like the Jets. Mike Vrabel, longtime New England Patriot, rival team. I could see him putting a foot on the throat of the New York Jets and putting up a big number here.
Yeah, I would almost think I would rather go with an ATS then at that point, because maybe I'm just like scarred from watching the last couple of primetime games where they've all gone under. But I do, or maybe even take a team total on the Patriots, because I just don't know what we get out of the Jets offense. That's I guess where I'm at there. But keep going, Steve, with your other three totals here, please.
Yeah, no, and then I'm going right back to the game that y'all were talking about just a second ago, Tampa Bay against Buffalo. This is a high over for me, but it's 48.5, and I like it. I like it. Neither defense is good. They don't have good defenses. So I'm like, hey, you know what? Electric offenses plus bad defenses equal points. I love to cheer for points. This is a very unusual number for me to take. It's very high, but I will say that this one, they both sit at around 50% when it comes to over-under. So it is more of a coin toss. I think coming off of a really bad game, really, really bad game, Josh Allen is going to come out with his head on fire a little bit. He's going to want to prove that he's fine. It's good. We're not worried. The Buccaneers just took a heartbreaking loss to the New England Patriots. They had the opportunity to win that game. It didn't go their way. Baker is, again, settling into that offense better and better every week with Igbuka, Tez Johnson. I think we're going to see points put up, and they're going to be put up in a hurry. So I'm high on that. The one that I'm much more sure about is the LA Chargers against Jacksonville Jaguars, going over 43.5 points. Both teams go to the over 50% of the time. That's the number you're looking for. You want better than 50-50 odds. Both these teams give it to you. Yes, the Chargers are good against the pass. Are they as good as they looked against the Steelers? No. That is a one-trick pony offense. It's throw it to DK Metcalf and nothing else. There's no other option. The Jaguars.
Wow. We have Jalen Warren. Jalen Warren's pretty
That's what
good
you want to hang
player
your hat on? You want to argue against being one-trick pony with Jalen Warren? That's what you're bringing to the table?
Yeah, I will. And we have good tight ends. But that's
what about those 4 tight end sets? What about
those 4 tight ends. Yeah.
Hey, we got him, baby. We got him.
They're coming.
Yeah,
they're in the bag.
And your 85-year-old quarterback. Listen, this is not. The Jaguars are a better team than the Steelers are, offensively at least. I think this is a game that this is a smash over for me at this point. I think with the Chargers being such an electric team through the air, contrary to what we saw in that primetime game, which was so strange, the Jaguars are susceptible through the air. The Chargers are susceptible on the ground. I think both teams go very well with this. And then I'm going to move to, this is an unusual one. I'm taking an under.
Oh, wow. Sound the alarms. Blink twice.
I'm taking an under, but there's a caveat. Green Bay against the New York Giants, under 43.5 points if Jackson Dart does not play. If it's Russell Wilson under center, I'm going with.
What if it's famous Jameis?
I was going to say, I feel like the caveat should be if Russell Wilson is playing.
You know what? I didn't even think of Jameis getting in. If it's Jameis, you smash that over all day long, because that's going to be a gazillion points, because he'll throw 2 pick sixes and 7 touchdowns, right? Like, I mean, he'll put up points for the other team himself. This Packers offense looks bad. Like, it looks bad. There's something wrong with it. There's something inherently broken with this offense. I can't tell you what it is. I think Josh Jacobs is dealing with a nagging injury. Jordan Love, it's something going on between the ears. there's something up here.
I just don't
and
think
that
they're
is
letting him uncork it. I don't think they're letting him uncork it. They're playing like scared, it feels like, and just afraid to turn the ball over.
I'll tell you this, though, more than that, and I know y'all love your stats. The Packers do not go. They're over. They are worse than 50% at going over. The Giants are at 50%. So this is putting them together a sub 50% chance of hitting the over. We just watched the Packers put up like nothing. I mean, that was stall after stall after stall after stall
Yeah.
after stall after stall against a not that great Eagles defense. Like the Eagles defense is fine, but Jalen Phillips
Sure.
looks like a superstar against the offensive line of the Green Bay Packers. I think with Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, and then your boy out of Penn State there, this is going to be a feast for the New York Giants defensive line. All those cornerbacks have to do is hold for a second and a half because that is going to be chow town for the front four. Now, can they do that? I'm not entirely sure. But they are coming off they just fired their head coach. So let's have a little bit of faith in the boys in blue, huh?
Dead
Come
cat
on.
bounce.
Okay. All right. So a different take on the dead cat bounce there. Eric, you actually, despite all the hate for the Steelers offense, actually believe maybe they show up here against the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday.
Yeah, I do agree that they are a one-trick pony, but I also agree or tend to believe that stats matter. The Cincinnati Bengals have played 9 games this season. They opened the year with a 17-16 nail biter against the Browns, and then since then they have allowed 27 points, 48 points, 28 points, 37 points, 27 points, 31 points to the Steelers, another 39 points to the Jets, and 47 points to the Bears last week. This is very much so a winning ticket that you can cash pretty much every single week, right? I while it may be one-dimensional, this defense will allow even one-dimensional offenses to be productive. So I feel pretty good about the Steelers hitting that over 27.5.
All right, and you also have 2 upset specials of the week coming in the money line market. One team being one that cost me a lot of coin last week that I don't really care to get back invested with.
Don't be scared, okay? That team in question have actually got a couple of road doggies here. The team in question, I'm assuming, is the Carolina Panthers,
Correct.
plus 165 to the money line at the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, look, this is a Carolina Panthers team that is in the thick of the NFC wild card race. That has taken teams far better than the Atlanta Falcons to the brink and actually has pulled off several upsets throughout the year. I think if nothing else, we were bemoaning how one-dimensional and slow-paced and run-oriented this offense was a few minutes ago. That is a game plan that will keep middling teams in the game all the way down to the last second. And you look at the other side of the ball, Atlanta, yes, they had a miraculous win over a bit of a sputtering Bills team all of a sudden. And they have another win against a Jaden Daniels-less Commanders team. And besides that, they're getting kind of stomped out every single week. So
Absolutely.
I have no idea why Atlanta is a favorite here. If it was a slight favorite, the classic 3 points for being at home, that would be one thing. But a plus 165 price tag is a juicy price for a Carolina Panthers team that is still fighting for their playoff lives. A team that is less so fighting for their playoff lives, but also getting a juicy number. The Chicago Bears plus 145 at the Minnesota Vikings. I spent part of this show earlier tonight talking about how I believe in Caleb Williams and the trajectory of this offense. I think that this is going to be a competitive game down to the stretch, probably a bit more offensive in nature. The Vikings defense has been playing better of late, but still not a team or a unit that should be able to limit this Ben Johnson offense. And you look at what the Bears are doing. They never say die, right? It doesn't matter what circumstance they're in. They've got the horses that they can uncork a deep ball. They have the support of a now 2-headed running game that should keep this one competitive. So the Bears should be in this one down to the stretch run. I like them to win outright, especially when you're getting plus 145 at it.
This is a really aggressive number considering JJ McCarthy looks pretty bad.
Yeah.
I think he's looked solid, actually.
Really? Do you? Because the numbers aren't backing that up at all.
Well, look at the first half of the game a couple weeks ago against the Lions, and he looks really good. Like, he's played good halves. He just isn't stringing it together.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing. Like, he's had moments.
That's kind of the part of playing winning football, right? Like, you tend to put like 4 winning quarters together.
Yeah, if your grandmother had wheels, she'd be a bike. Like, what are we talking about here?
I think the number for the Panthers is actually even more suspect, honestly. Like, I don't want to get back invested with them after they burned me last week, but I might just have to plus 165. Do you think they
can I ask you guys? I just want to ask about the Bears because I just bashed JJ McCarthy. Do you think Caleb Williams is a good quarterback?
Yes.
I think he needs to stop holding on to the ball too long and play in rhythm more. But I think he has the tools to be. I think he has the tools to be a good quarterback. I don't think he's a good quarterback yet, but I think he has talent. Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't put him past the good category, but I think he's a good quarterback.
Like, do you think he's like, you know who he kind of reminds me of just a little bit is like young Jameis Winston? Like, it's chaos, right? Like, it's chaos. Can he win some games? Yeah, he'll throw. There's no throw he won't. Yeah, he can't make. But like, the decision making isn't there, right? Like, that's kind of what we're at. So we need him to develop and do.
I think that comes with time. Right, especially in this Ben Johnson offense, right? Like, it's hit your back foot and just fire, and he's a little indecisive there.
Yeah,
but as you get more and more games under your belt in this system, I mean, granted, this is his second season, but he is essentially starting from square one after the calamity that was the 2024 season for the Bears, right? So
brutal.
Ostensibly, he's 9 or 10 games into his NFL career, as I see it.
Yeah.
So I think he's on a good trajectory.
Okay.
And speaking of JJ McCarthy, that's actually where I'm going with my first player prop of the week. I'm going with his over on the rushing yards. He has hit the BP projected line right now, coming in at 23.5 in 3 of 4 games, averaging 5.3 attempts, 27.5 yards per game. And he's facing a Chicago team that has allowed the most rushing yards to quarterbacks over the past month, 35.5 yards per game, and the second most on the season. That comes down to just under 30 yards. Semi-mobile quarterbacks game logs against Chicago this season. Jackson Dart, your boy, he, while leaving early last week, still 6 for 66 and 2 touchdowns. Tyler Huntley, 8 for 53. Jaden Daniels, 10 for 51. Hey, Geno Smith, how about 4 for 31? And then also J.J. McCarthy himself in week 1, 2 for 25 and a rushing touchdown. I'll also give me a little Breece Hall action on Thursday night. I will warn you, haven't been great on the Thursday night calls so far this season, but this is one of my favorite plays of the week. So I got multiple units on it, of course. Breece Hall over 15.5, receiving yards minus 114 at FanDuel, already listed, already bet on. And over the past month of the season, the Pats have allowed the most receptions and the most targets to opposing running backs. Over the season, they've averaged 6.1 receptions per game allowed and 38.1 yards per game to the running back position through the air. And if I know this, the Jets have to know this as well, especially after Breece Hall won that game for him last week, taking that screen pass to the house. So 5 straight running backs have crossed this mark, and Breece has in 5 of 9 games this season. So why not on Thursday Night Football? And then I also have a little bit of a gross one that I'm going to throw out on you as well. We're going to say it's conditional. If this line gets out of hand, I'm not going to go on it. But right now, BP is projecting it to be released around 10.5 yards. So I'm going over on Terrence Ferguson, the rookie tight end for the Los Angeles Rams, yards. He's cleared this, averaging 30 yards per game over the past 3 weeks. The Rams right now, like, it's crazy. They run out 4 different tight ends. So it's really annoying to watch this, but I also think maybe there's some parlay action here, right? Because Fergie right now is averaging 3.3 targets per game in that span and 22.5 yards per reception. So he only needs 1 catch to go over this realistically.
Right.
And over the last month, the Seahawks have allowed the 4th most receptions, the 5th most receiving yards to opposing tight ends. 5 tight ends have cleared this projected line in the last 2 weeks. 5 in the last 2 weeks. That's why maybe I'm saying we go a little parlay action, get some Parkinson in there, get some Higbee in there. It'll be interesting. So it's gross, but and every tight end has also seen a target in the past 6 weeks. Every tight end that has seen a target in the past 6 weeks against this team has hit this. That is 11 different tight ends in that span. So that is why I'm saying I think there's some action here for the big men against the Rams. They're all getting used. So, but Terrence Ferguson is the one I'll straight bet, and then I'll also maybe parlay this up with a couple of the other ones, boys.
Don't mind the call at all. Obviously, the all-world receivers on the perimeter and running out of the slot are drawing plenty of defensive attention for the players that are facing the Rams. But also the Rams, all of a sudden, a pretty dramatic shift from last year, lead the league in 13 personnel usage.
Yeah.
About 17% of their plays
Crazy.
has 3 tight ends on the field. So these guys are out there, and when they are running routes, they are getting little to no defensive attention. So one catch feels like a pretty reasonable proposition.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to start putting a little bit more respect on Sean McVay's name, because I think we got like tired, I guess. Like, he's always in his bag every year. This guy's in his bag. And we always think we know what Sean McVay's going to do. We don't. We have no idea. The man is still a mad genius and is proving it year over year over year. I mean, this is crazy that he's rolling out like literally 3 different tight ends. All of them are involved in some way. Like,
there's 4 of them too.
Like, yeah, like it's insane. The man is like the Mad Hatter, but it works.
Yeah, it does. He's like a caterpillar, right? He goes into a cocoon and he comes out every year, and it's a new looking butterfly.
Like, I'm retiring, I'm done, and then he comes out with a new offense.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm very interested here in the Rams tight ends, and didn't shout out our boy Davis Allen there. That was the other guy. That was the third or fourth tight end, depending if you're looking at yards or snap share. But yeah, so. And let's go ahead to our touchdown call contest of the week. And we are, of course, presented by our friends over at Dynasty Decks. They got some of the sickest plaques out there. Whether you're trying to remember your fantasy football league championship year forever, whether you got basketball tournaments going on, golf tournaments, everything you need, they can help you over there at the Decks. So make sure you guys are checking them out today. And an update on the leaderboard. Trav is now solo in command once again of the lead. He's had it almost the entire season right now. 16 touchdown calls for Trav, but we are hot on his heels. Rob with 15, James with 14, Steve with 14, myself with 14 after we both got 1 last week. Steve, I feel like we've been on the left side of this board all year, man. It's feeling good.
We're elite. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, and not elite, though, but closing the gap still. Eric Romoff with 12, baby. Eric, how you feeling with 12 over there, man? You've almost made it over to the Cool Kids Club.
Man, another 2-banger on my plus money selection from last week. Unfortunately, my heavy favorite James Cook decided to not be the James Cook that we've known and loved. So I will make the crossover to the left side of the board before we know it. And I got my sights set on Trav.
We'll see. Also, trash sandwiches, Jake Perry and Ben Siebert. Our boy Jake having a tough time. He was on the show last week, and he switched one of his picks after the fact, and it caused him to not hit one. So
I might have this wrong. I feel like Jake came out of the gate like he was shot out of a cannon.
I think he went
stretch there, right?
I think he went 8 straight weeks with a touchdown, and then then stalled hard.
Life comes at you fast, Jake.
It has been cool. It has been cool. And guys, I've been letting you go first over the last couple of weeks here, just, trying to play good host here, but I think I need to change things up for the vibes this week. So I'm going to kick us off with JJ McCarthy anytime touchdown, 3-1 over at Bet365. He has scored a touchdown on them in week 1. Also, Jackson Dart, he got 2 touchdowns last week against the Bears. So JJ has ran for a score in 50% of his games this season. So 3-1 kind of feels a bit wild of a number to be hanging out there. So very interested in JJ McCarthy. I think maybe you can even find that a better number later on in the week, but we shall see. Also take Rico Dowdle going back to the well here. Anytime touchdown 2 weeks in a row for my boy Rico. And for me, I just love getting him at -120 when he's already opening at other books at -140. Rico scored 3 touchdowns in the past 2 weeks and has scored in 5 of his 8 last games. Since Chuba Hubbard got hurt in week 5, Rico is 9th in rushing attempts inside the 20, 7th inside the 15, 7th inside the 10, 5th inside the 5. And over the last month, the Falcons have allowed the most rushing touchdowns, 6, and tied for the second most receiving touchdowns, 2 opposing running backs. JT, how about 3 last week? Terrell Jennings, you can get in the end zone the week before. Achane, Ollie Gordon, they both did it in week 8. CMC twice in week 7. In fact, they have let a running back score every week of the season, going all the way back to when Rico Dowdle did it himself in week 3. The only team who didn't, the Vikings in week 2. So give me a little Rico Dowdle anytime touchdown, -120. I already bet this one as well. 2.5 units down on Uncle Rico there for me. Steven, your anytime touchdowns for the week are?
Yeah, I'm going to go with someone on the other side of your touchdown call. I'm going to go with Justin Jefferson. He's going to catch one from J.J. McCarthy because the Bears' defense is kind of cheeks. It's not good. No Jalen Johnson. That's a big problem. Justin Jefferson is due. This is a huge down year for our boy J. Jettas, right? This has not been fun. I haven't enjoyed it, but I think they're going to make a concerted effort because one thing that I know star wide receivers hate more than anything else is when their numbers are being impacted by poor play or what they feel like is a perceived lack of design plays for them. I do expect Kevin O'Connell to work to get Justin Jefferson the ball in the end zone and score him a touchdown. I am perfectly happy to take the +119 over at Caesars. And then I got to eat crow and I'm going to do it. And I'm just going to be like, you know what? Whatever. You guys were right. Everyone was right. I was wrong. Blah, blah, blah. JSN, Jackson, Smith-Njigba will go for a touchdown because it seems like, much like his spiritual predecessor, Chris Carter, all this guy does is catch touchdowns. It is unbelievable the tear this man is on right now. It is remarkable. I'm happy for him. I'm happy that I was wrong. Which is a weird thing to say. I will own that I was wrong. I thought Sam Darnold and the new offense and the scheme and his skill set was not going to translate to this Kubiak style. Shows I don't know what on earth I'm talking about sometimes. I like to think I do every time. I always try to be right. I try to bring you the best analysis I can. There's nothing else to say other than JSN. He scores touchdowns every game. It seems like he's going for a long one and it's early. This will be done and put to bed before halftime and you'll be sleeping on easy money. So yeah, I'm just going to eat crow and I'm going to be like, you know what? Here we go. Let's ride it. Let's ride it. It makes being wrong just a little more palatable.
I love how maybe the most honorable moment you've had on this program's history and taking the L there on JSN, but you do it kind of backhandedly calling him Chris Carter because he's also leading the league in receiving yards. So take a step down on that one. Let's
Chris Carter is a fantastic wide receiver. Like that's not a knock to call someone Chris Carter.
Yeah, I don't know if Chris Carter ever led the league in receiving. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I don't know. I feel like JSN at his peak right now is better than Chris Carter ever was. But Chris Carter is also a Hall of Famer, so what do I know? Is he a Hall of Famer? Am I wrong on that? I thought he was. Okay.
I backhanded someone with a compliment by calling him a Hall of Famer.
How dare you, Steve?
How dare I?
Savage.
And Eric, you don't have a Hall of Famer on your anytime touchdown call of the week, but you do have the son of a Hall of Famer.
Says who? Just writing the book on Marvin Harrison Jr. 2 years into his NFL career like that. Jeez. Apparently, I am more bullish on Marv than most. A lot of these lines are not available when we do our pre-show prep. The Marvin Harrison Jr. line has posted floating around +165 right now. So I was guesstimating around +125. You can get him for a juicier price tag. He's going to be facing off against a Rams team that should be doing a fair amount of scoring. There should be a lot of fireworks in this game. And Marvin Harrison Jr., while he hasn't been hitting these prolific fantasy productions week in and week out, he is seeing a ton of targets with Jacoby Brissett under center. 12 targets last week, found the end zone in the game prior off of 10 targets. So love the way that the volume is heading for Marvin Harrison Jr., and he has a juicy matchup predominantly going to be running in the coverage of Diamadou Lenore, who has allowed 4 touchdowns on a little bit better than 25 receptions this season. So you like that touchdown rate. You like getting him at the plus money. The second player is actually not posted quite yet, but I'm assuming he's going to be sitting around -110. That is Javonte Williams going up against the Las Vegas Raiders. RIP to your Mondays having to watch this one-sided game on Monday Night Football. The Raiders are currently the third or tied for the third worst in the league, allowing 1.3 rushing touchdowns per game this year. And they are allowing or rather they're ranked 25th in yards after contact allowed. So we know that Javonte Williams is a volume monster in this offense. The game script is in his favor, and whether it is, again, 25th in yards after contact allowed or 19th in missed tackle rate, should be able to break one or maybe two of those touches for a trip to the end zone.
All right. Well, guys, great stuff tonight. Kyle, thanks for all your help in the back end, man. Steve, Eric, phenomenal job on your analysis, both on the bets and in those rest of season league winners. So that is going to do it for us tonight on the In Between Fantasy Football podcast. If you rode along with us this long, please do us a quick favor, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the entire channel. We've got fantasy football and NFL betting, college football betting, NASCAR betting, PGA betting, and entertainment betting content, all to help you cash more and to enjoy the ride along the way. Also, be sure to check out inbetweenmedia.com for some dope written content for Eric Romoff, Stephen Lawson, and of course, Kyle Scott. I'm Seth Wilcock. Thanks for watching and keep it in between. Until next time, y'all.